Alright, this is lesson 74, vertex form for quadratics. We're still talking about those quadratic graphs, right? Okay, so we've been talking about standard form where we have A, B, and C. You have to know a different form is called vertex form. It's a different way to write the same equation. It's an equivalent way. It's the same thing. It's just a different way to present it. Kind of like a different way is like when we have your name. When we tell you your name, we say your first name and last name, right? Does that make sense? Well, another way to present your name would be last name, first name. Does that make sense? Yes? It's the same thing, but it's different. Is that how the Japanese do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we say your first name and last name. We always call you by your first name. In some cultures, we'll call you by your last name and then your first name. Okay? So, same thing, just a different way to present it. Okay? This way is a lot easier to graph also. So, here we go. Ready? So, vertex form. Here are the steps for today. Find h by calculating the following. Find k by calculating h back into the original equation and write the vertex form with h and k as follows. Okay, so we have that written down up here if you're on the video pause. I'll show you how to do a couple of them. It's pretty easy, okay? We've done this concept before, we just haven't rewritten it. So the big thing, negative b over 2a, raise your hand if you remember that, negative b over 2a. We're going to be using that again today, okay? Here we go. Number one, write the following in vertex form, okay? So watch up here, and then I'll give you a moment to write, okay? So the first thing I want to do, of course, I always figure out what my a, b, and c is. A is negative 2, b is negative 8, c is negative 11, okay? Then we want to figure out negative b over 2a, because h will be equal to negative b over 2a. So we have negative b, which we said b is negative 8, so b is going to be negative 8, putting that into parentheses, over 2 times a, 2 times negative 2. We know that negative 8 is like saying positive 8, and we know that 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. So our h is equal to negative 2. Now to find k, you plug it back in, okay? So all you have to do to find k is you plug h back in. So you got negative 2 times x squared, which is going to be negative 2 squared, minus 8 times negative 2 minus 11, okay? So we got negative 2 squared is equal to 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Okay. Again, negative 2 squared is positive 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2 is positive 16 minus 11. Okay. Then we just work it out. Negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8. Positive 8 minus 11 is negative 3. This is our k. Okay. So that's the second part. So we have h and k. Last thing I have to do is just write my vertex form, which is y is equal to. Okay, and we start with a, right? A is equal to, what was a at the beginning of the problem? Negative 2 times x minus h. We said h is negative 2, so it's going to be negative 2 squared plus k. We said k is negative 3. Okay, so we'll simplify. It's negative 2 times x plus 2 squared minus 3. And that's your answer. Okay, that's the same form. Okay, so this form at the bottom is the same thing as the original problem. It's just a different way to write it. Okay, and we use this way because it's a lot easier to graph this thing. Okay, what's that? Confusing. It's why you have to find h and k. All of this before, this hk stuff we've done before. All this calculating, we've done this before. All we're doing today is plugging it into this formula. Okay? Watch me do this again on number 2. Number 2, we got a is equal to 2, b is equal to 6, c is equal to 3. Okay? So the first thing we want to do is find negative b over 2a. So our h we said is negative b over 2a. So we're going to put our h as negative 6 over 2 times 2. This one's going to be a little bit different. So we got negative 6 over 4, which is just like saying negative 3 halves. So this is a fraction now. It's a little bit more difficult. That's our h. Our k, we have to plug it back in, so it's going to be 2 times x squared, which is negative 3 halves, squared, plus 6 times negative 3 halves, all plus 3. Okay, this is going to get a little more difficult. So we got negative 3 squared is 9. 2 squared is 4. We have to multiply that by 2. We have 6 over 1 times negative 3 halves is going to be negative 18 over 2 plus 3. Continuing on here. 2 ninths times, or 2 over 1 times 9 fourths. We know we could multiply. It's going to be 18 over 4. Minus 18 over 2 is going to be minus 9 plus 3. We know 18 over 4 becomes 9 over 2, or 9 halves, minus 9. And negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. Okay? We know 9 halves is like saying 4 and a half. Minus 6, 4 and a half minus 6 is going to be negative 1 and 1/2. Okay? So now our h and k, this is our k down here. This is a harder problem, by the way. We just go to our vertex form. We go y is equal to a, which we said in this example is 2, times x minus h. We said h is negative 3 halves, so we're going to do plus 3 halves squared. And then we said our k is going to be negative 1 and 1/2. Okay? And that's your answer. Okay? So the second one's a lot harder because we have fractions. First one, that's the process. We're going to do a few of these together, and I'm sure you're going to get it by the end of the period, okay? So it's a little different than what we've been learning. It's a new concept, all right? Any questions? Okay, today's Tuesday. Do your best. Let's have 2 cell 1's about number 1 first, and then 1 cell 2's about number 2. Ready, set, and go. Okay, number 3. Okay, number 3, we're doing all together. No one's going ahead. We're just going the same steps that I do, okay? First thing you want to do is check A, B, and C. A is equal to 1. B is equal to negative 2. C is equal to 2, okay? That's the first step. Then we need to find H, which is going to be equal to negative B over 2A. So we're plugging in B as negative 2, so it's going to be negative 2 over 2A, which is 2 times 1. Okay. Negative 2 is equal to positive 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Okay? So our H is equal to 1. I'm going to box that 1 so I know that that's there. Am I going too fast? Nope. Okay. And then we need to find our k. In order to find k, you plug it back into the whole equation. So we say k is equal to x squared. Instead of x, we're going to use 1. So it's going to be 1 squared minus 2 times 1 plus 2. Okay? 1 squared is 1. What's negative 2 times 1? Negative 2 plus 2. Okay, now we're going to work this out. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Positive 1. Okay, so that's our k. So now we're going to write in our formula. We said y is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k, right? We're going to plug in our numbers now. So a is equal to 1, so we're going to put 1 times x. We said h is equal to 1, so we got x minus 1 squared plus 1 for k And we could simplify that. We could even say y is equal to, well, then that's it. Put a y at the end, like so, and we're done. Y is equal to 1 times x minus 1 squared plus 1. Questions? Okay. How do you feel about that? Raise your hand if you felt pretty good about that one. Okay, let's do number 2 together now. Okay, turn to your neighbor, tell him what H and, or I'm sorry, tell him what A, B, and C are on number 4. Okay, A is what, everyone? -3, good. B is? Good. C is? Okay, looks like big numbers, but we could do this. We got this. Okay. Turn to your neighbor, tell him, how do you find H? Okay, what's H, everyone? Good, it's negative b over 2a, so we're going to put this into here. So we're saying H is negative 24 over 2 times -3. What's negative 24 equal to? Positive 24. 2 times -3 is? -6. What's 24 divided by -6? -4. Okay, so that's our H here, okay? Now we have to figure out our K. So we got to plug it into the whole thing. So we got -3 times x squared. Instead of x, we're going to put that -4 in there. -4 squared minus 24 times -4, all minus 49. Okay? Looks scary, but we could do this, okay? PEMDAS, right? -4 squared. Let's do one term at a time. -4 squared is what? 16 times -3 is? 16 times -3 is -48. Okay? Next one. What's -24 times -4? Nope. Times.
Oh, just kidding.
Positive 96 minus 49, okay? Okay, let's work these out one at a time. -48 plus 96 is positive 48. What's 48 minus 49? -1. Okay? Isn't that weird? You do all these big numbers and then all of a sudden you have -1, right? Okay, now we just put in our formula. So we got y is equal to, we're going to write this down, a times x minus h all squared, all plus k. Okay, what's a equal to in this example, everyone? What's a equal to on this one? -3. What's a is equal to -3? Remember up at the beginning? What's a equal to? -3. Good, okay. Thank you. Just making sure you're getting it. Then we have x minus h. H is equal to what? -4, right? How do we do a -4? What should I write instead? +4, right? -4 is +4, right? Plus k. What's k equal to? How do I add a negative? Just subtract 1, right? Here's your equation. Starting to get the hang of it?
Yeah.
Kind of? Okay, one more time. Let's have 1 solid 2 is how we did number 4. Just explain it, and then we're going to go to the next one. Ready, set, go. These are, pretty standard. Sometimes they look like 5. 5 is Pretty plain looking, right? Right? What's A equal to on 5? 1. Okay, so let's do this one together. B is equal to 0. C is equal to 0. So this one, zeros are nice because it'll be easy. We do the same thing. H is equal to negative B over 2A. So B is 0 over 2 times 1. So what's 0 divided by anything? 0, right? We could just assume that this is 0. And if I were to plug this in back for K is equal to 0 squared. What's 0 squared? 0. So our H and K are 0 and 0, right? Y'all agree? So then we just plug it in. Y is equal to A times X minus H squared plus K. And H and K are 0, and A is 1. So we're going to do 1 times X minus 0 squared plus 0. Okay, so sometimes they're going to be really easy like that. That's how you do this one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, and sometimes they're going to be hard, like number 6. Okay, this one's going to be a hard one, okay? This is the fraction one. Let's do one of these together. Okay, same steps, except we're going to deal with some fractions, okay? So why don't you write down number 6, and then we'll get started in a moment. Give you about 15 seconds. Number 6, so what's A equal to? Negative 1. B is? C is? Good, okay. So now we start with H, which is going to be equal to negative B over 2A. B is negative B, so we got negative 3 over 2 times A, which is 2 times negative 1. Negative 3 is really like saying positive 3. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 3 divided by 2 is like saying negative 3 halves, okay? Just put the negative sign in the front. Uh-oh, fractions, right? That's going to be difficult. But that's our H. That's okay. We could still do this. K. We're going to plug this in now. We got Y is equal to negative X squared, so we're going to start with writing a negative sign. Negative, and we have X is going to be equal to negative 3 halves squared minus 3 times negative 3 halves minus 6. Okay? Let's work this out. One bite at a time. Okay, let's look at this first term. The one that I just circled. The one that it's circled up here. Look up here, please. What's negative 3 squared? What's negative 3 squared? What? No. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. Okay, positive 9 times the negative sign is negative 9. Okay. 2 squared is 4. Okay, so we're going to put the 4 on the bottom. This negative sign only applies to the numerator in this case. Okay. Next one. Negative 3. How do I make negative 3 a fraction so I can work this out? Okay, so what's negative 3 times negative 3? Positive 9. What's positive 1 times positive 2? Times 2, right? All minus 6, okay? Do we have a common denominator in all three of these?
Yeah. Oh.
Look at the denominators on all three. Are they all the same right now? No. What's the lowest common denominator I could use? 4. Okay, so this becomes negative 9/4. We're going to keep this the same. This one, we're going to have to... How do I change 2 to 4? What do I have to do to multiply 2 to get 4? Times 2. So 9 times 2 is 18. Okay. Next is 1. What do I multiply 1 with to get 4? 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay. Okay, let's work this out. What's negative 9 plus 18? Positive 9. So these two become 9/4 minus 24/4. Okay, what's 9 minus 24?
Negative. No.
Negative, 15, good. Negative 15/4. Okay, and that's it. Can I simplify that at all? No. Improper fractions are fine. Now we just plug it into our final HK, or our final vertex form. Okay, so what's A equal to? Negative 1. We got x minus h. H in this case is equal to negative 3/2. So what's a negative 3/2? How would I write that? Positive 3/2 squared. And then k is plus k. K is negative 15/4, so we're going to write negative 15/4. And that's it. We're done. Does that make sense? So this one's harder. You have to do fraction stuff, okay? Fractional work. But I think you could do it. We have to practice these. And that concludes our lesson.